Sure. Speaking of the Sharks, NICHO Hynes situation and the talk around that is not going to go away anytime soon. What are your thoughts on his situation at the moment where arguably they're probably better if he's not playing in the halves. Maybe it's a move to fullback. I think he probably still. I personally think he's a better fullback than he is playing in the
Mm.
halves. I think he can be more effective there. But what are your opinions on how they're handling that situation? And then as an ex player, like how hard is it for Nico to stay focused on what he's doing, knowing full well what the outside noise is around him and
No.
his impact or lack thereof?
Extremely difficult. Like I've been in that position before. Like when, the harder you try, the bigger the hole gets for you as a player. And I'm sure Nico's doing all the right things away from footy and on the footy pitch. But there's always something when you're playing with no confidence. There's just almost like something in your head where you don't feel right. There's this level of pressure and expectation where like you try to grasp at big moments that kind of went your way. And for poor Nico, like, things have been out of his control this year. Like he got injured, he's back playing now. He's almost at full fitness, you'd like to think. He got handed a number 7 jersey for New South Wales, where, there was a lot of talk around who was going to be Nathan Cleary's successor in the Origin arena. Game one comes, and New South Wales go down 12 men in the first, less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And as a halfback, you can't control what happens after that. Like the script game plan goes out the window. So he basically did his best. So whenever a big moment has come, there's also I recall one big moment. I can't remember exactly what team they were playing against, but he had an opportunity to kind of draw and send into Golden Point a game where he was almost 100% strike rate from the sideline, but he
Yeah.
missed it pretty badly. And I think it was almost like a just an avalanche effect, a snowball effect after
Yeah.
that, where he just couldn't get any confidence out of those big clutch plays because that's what halves are there to do. That's why they get the big bucks. But I think Craig Fitzgibbon did the right thing. I know there was a bit of the reports and some, armchair pundits coming out saying that, you know, that Nico was almost holding the team hostage with the way he was playing. And I think Craig Fitzgibbon did the right thing by backing his halfback because you got to think long term game as well. If he was to drop NICHO Hynes in a final series for the Cronulla Sharks, like what's that going to do to him going forward? I feel
Yeah.
like that would have absolutely like that could have honestly ruined his career. So you know what, Nico, thought he did well last weekend. Braden Trindle obviously was a star playmaker out of that night. And I think going forward, and I think this week, I think most of the attention will be on Braden Trindle and how he game manages, and obviously having the sole responsibility on the kicking plan for the Cronulla Sharks. So I think more games Nico gets under his belt, the confidence will grow. But ultimately, the thing for Nico is he needs to look like, well, the best thing for Nico is to get away from rugby league, let the season finish, and then come back fresh and energized for season 2025. You have
Yeah.
to also think, sorry, I know we're spending a bit of time on this,
No,
but
no, go.
Nico won the Daily M in 2022.
Yeah.
He lit the world on fire in an unbelievable season that year. And, he was lucky to be involved in, I don't know, 3 consecutive seasons where everything fell in his lap and he executed game after game, clutch moment after clutch moment. This is the first time Nico's faced this much adversity in his career. So, like as tough as it has been for Nico, I think it's such a learning experience for him, and he's just going to build and thicken his skin going forward. I think it's almost detrimental that he won the Daily M in 2022 because he set the bar so high,
Yeah.
and all the expectations on Nico has been so great that unfortunately he hasn't been able to replicate that form in 2022. So we've seen it with James Tedesco last year. Everyone
Yeah.
wanted James Tedesco's head,
Yeah.
like. He wasn't playing that bad, but because he's a type of player and the level of consistency he's played at, he's hitting like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 games consistently. And now he's playing at like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It's like, wow, like, who is this guy? Like, he needs to be dropped from New South Wales. Like, oh my God, the criticism was overwhelming. But yeah, like, I still have faith in Nico in doing something special and continuing his great form going forward.
I saw something prior to the weekend's match saying that he isn't close to being 100% and he's just playing through what he can right now until he gets the full off season. How hard is it, both as a coach or as a coaching staff, to try and talk a player out of playing when they're not 100%? Like, is that something that comes up often, especially when you're talking about, the top earners at the club? Like, if they want to play, generally they have enough pull that they can call the shots, right? Even if they're not at 100%.
Of course, mate. It's happened to me before. 2020, we are playing up against Souths, and I wasn't right. Like I had a pretty bad knock on my knee, and I didn't want to rest. I wanted to keep on playing. I wanted to continue my great form. I was on a pretty good roll that year, and I just had an honest conversation with Ivan in the locker room. Just sitting side by side, and he goes, "Listen, I know you want to play. I have full faith in you to play as well, but let's think long term. Let's think about it's a long season ahead. Take the week off, come back fresh and energized for next week, and we can go from there." So, I appreciate Ivan having that honest conversation with him and allow me to be honest as well. Like
Yeah.
after when he said that, I was like, I conceded. I was like, right, Ivan, you're right. Again, I don't want to let the team down by not playing, but it's probably beneficial for the team that I take the week off and work on myself physically and just freshen up. So, and it ended up working great for me, working great for the team, and I was able to continue a pretty good running form for the rest of the year.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential